Not a Ferrari, not a Porsche, not a Lamborghini. Cheap Japanese sports cars. The people who kept them stock, who stored them away. They're millionaires now. Or at least they made more money on a 20-year-old Japanese car than most people make in 3 years of work. This is the story of the greatest automotive investment that nobody saw coming. Let me take you back to 2010. The economy was in shambles. People were losing their jobs left and right. And if you went on Craigslist, you could find a 1994 Toyota Supra Turbo with a 6-speed manual for $30,000. Maybe 40 if it was really clean. A Nissan Skyline GTR, $25,000 if you imported it yourself. 35 if someone else did the paperwork. Mazda RX-7, 15 to 20 grand for a clean one. Honda NSX, 40 to 50,000. These weren't collector cars. Most people thought they were just old Toyotas and Nissans that would keep depreciating until they were worth nothing. The muscle car guys laughed at them. $100,000 for a Supra, never gonna happen. Meanwhile, a small group of enthusiasts kept buying them, quietly, storing them, keeping them stock, waiting. Fast forward to 2013, something started to change. The best Toyota Supra Turbo in the world was selling for under $50,000. By 2019, that same car was worth $100,000. But the Supra isn't even the wildest story. The Nissan Skyline GT-RR 34, the one from Fast and Furious, started this decade selling for $50,000 to $70,000 for a clean example. In 2021, a U.S. legal R34 sold on Bring a Trailer for $320,000. The seller said they paid in the mid-100s for it just 1 year earlier. That's over 100% profit in 12 months. And Paul Walker's actual Skyline from the movie? $1.3 million for a car that cost $39,000 when it was new. So which cars made people the most money? Let's break it down by the numbers. The Toyota Supra Mark IV, the King, a 1994 Supra Turbo sold in September 2022 for $232,000. The seller bought it new in 1994 for $48,895. Not bad for a Toyota. The Nissan Skyline GT-RR 34, the forbidden fruit. This one's interesting because it was never officially sold in the United States. So Americans spent 2 decades watching it in video games and movies, building up this mythology around a car they couldn't have. Then the 25-year import rule started letting them in, and prices went absolutely insane. People who bought R34s in 2015 for $50,000 and held them until 2020, they quadrupled their money minimum. And there's a 1 of 44 car called the Nismo 400R. It originally sold for $110,000 in 1996. In August 2025, one sold for $995,000. Nearly $1 million. For a Nissan, the Acura Integra Type R. This is the one that hurts the most because everybody could have afforded one of these. In 2015, a clean Integra Type R cost about $24,000. Today, $65,000 for the same car. That's more than a 200% increase in 10 years. And these weren't rare. Honda made thousands of them, but most people modified them, crashed them, or drove them into the ground. The few that stayed stock, they became gold mines. The Honda NSX. When new, the NSX cost $60,000 to $90,000, depending on the year. By 2010, you could buy a clean one for $40,000. Today, clean examples are $150,000 to $200,000. That's a 4 to 5 times increase The Mazda RX-7 FD, the rotary legend. The RX-7 is interesting because it's still somewhat affordable compared to the others. Clean examples went from $15,000 in 2010 to $40,000 today. That's still a huge return, just not as insane as the others. But here's the thing, it's probably the next one to explode. Because there are so few clean ones left, most people modified them or blew up the rotary engines. The bone stock survivors, they're about to become very, very valuable. A collector in California bought 9 Integra Type Rs between 2005 and 2010. He paid between $18,000 and $25,000 for each one. Average cost, $22,000 per car. Today, those 9 cars are worth approximately $585,000. He nearly tripled his money in 15 years. But here's the crazy part. He didn't buy them as an investment. He just loved Integra Type Rs and wanted to own every color. He was just a fan who happened to become rich by accident. So why did this happen? Why did Japanese sports cars from the 90s suddenly become worth more than new Porsches? Reason number 1, the 25-year import rule. Most of these cars were never officially sold in America, but U.S. law says any car that's 25 years old can be imported, regardless of whether it meets modern safety standards. 2014, R32 Skylines became legal. 2019, R33 Skylines. 2024, R34 Skylines. Suddenly, 40 million Americans who'd been playing Gran Turismo and watching Fast and Furious for 20 years could finally buy their dream car, legally. The people who wanted these cars as teenagers in the 90s and 2000s, they're in their 30s and 40s now. They have money. They have garages. They have disposable income. And they're willing to pay stupid money for the cars they couldn't afford 20 years ago. It's reason number 4. They're actually great cars. Here's the thing everyone forgets. These cars weren't just movie props. They were legitimately excellent machines. The Supra could make 1,000 horsepower with bolt-on parts. The Skyline GTR had all-wheel drive and computer-controlled torque distribution in 1989. The NSX had better build quality than a Ferrari. They weren't just nostalgic. They were genuinely special. Maybe it's clean Nissan 300 ZXZ 32s. Maybe it's Mitsubishi 3000 GT VR4s. Maybe it's second generation MR2s. Nobody knows for sure, but the people who buy them, keep them stock, and store them properly, they might be the next accidental millionaires. 20 years ago, people laughed at the idea of a Toyota being worth 6 figures. Today, they're writing checks for $200,000 to own one. Don't bet against the cars nobody else believes in, because the biggest profits come from the things nobody sees coming. Have you bought a classic JDM car? Did you miss out on the boom? Let me know in the comments. And if you're sitting on a stock Supra or Skyline right now, congratulations.